So gearing up for our shaping event on entrepreneurship, we thought it'd be interesting to do a little bit of a pitch competition, and we're welcoming in Christian Heiden from Levo International. Give us a little bit of a rundown on, how you got the bug even at 16 in your local garden.
Yeah. So I was super passionate about international development since like sixth grade. My teacher came with his son who had gone and worked in Ghana, and I had the bug on international development. So I was looking for a project, something cool I could do, and so I was a Boy Scout. You need to do a project to get your Eagle Scout.
Okay.
And so I was looking for something really cool I could do on an international level for my Eagle Scout project. And so this is like my fall of junior year. And the guy who ran my Boy Scout troop had a hydroponic greenhouse in his backyard that he'd done in the DR over 20 years ago now. And so I was like, oh, this is cool. This is incredible. Why is this not everywhere? This is my project. I'm going to do my Eagle Scout project in Haiti, because if it worked in the DR, it'll work in Haiti. Haiti has a greater need.
Aspirations. Let's just pause.
Yeah, I was about to say, if I'm going back, it was like I was trying to get my Magic the Gathering card deck together.
Well, there's plenty of that too. Okay, I wasn't like some crazy. It was just really cool to me,
I had the PlayStation 2 bug. You just got the international development bug. So props to you, man.
Yeah. I mean, but and so it. Called organizations in the Central Plateau of Haiti and found an organization that had done work with Eagle Scouts in the past. However, the Boy Scouts didn't particularly have any interest in sanctioning a 16-year-old going down as an official Boy Scout project. So I did it separately for my high school and built a greenhouse there, and then went down separate with my father and my brother and went down and built a hydroponic greenhouse for an organization in Pion, Haiti. And that really was the start of Levo. Luckily for us, the first project worked. They were successfully harvesting, and we were like, oh, we got something here. And so then we started developing an approach, founded Levo, started developing an approach really focusing on taking hydroponics, which can be a relatively complex and expensive piece of technology, stripping out the complexity, making it simple, accessible, and affordable for people, focusing on people who make less than $2 a day. Since that trip, we have worked with hundreds of households, even now, despite the fact that Haiti has collapsed, in Haiti, to providing them with hydroponics. And then since 2020, really, we've ramped up domestically and run a whole bunch of programs around simplified hydroponics and education and food access.
So for those that aren't familiar, simplify it even more, right? Like how's it different than quote unquote traditional farming, or, what's the...
Absolutely. Yeah. So hydroponics is growing in water rather than soil. So it mimics the natural process. So it speeds up the nutrient absorption, makes the plants grow more efficiently. Importantly, it's a closed loop system. So hydroponics can save up to 90% of the water. It uses about a quarter of the space, and it grows faster and more per plant than you can get in traditional agriculture. Traditionally, though, and we've seen this over the last few years in particular, right, it's very difficult to make hydroponics work at a commercial scale. It's very expensive. The equipment's very expensive. When you think about hydroponics, you think about grow lights, indoor converting warehouses. And so it gets really expensive. And a lot of times you're just growing things like lettuce. And lettuce can only get so expensive, right?
My mind went to cannabis.
Well, that's where everyone's mind goes, right? That's and that's not our space, but that's one of the profitable areas of hydroponics, right? And that's always, in fact, we have the weed growers to thank for hydroponics being the field that it is, and the simplicity that we are benefiting from in a lot of ways comes from those people growing in their basements and backyards and things like that. And so our version of hydroponics, instead of thinking like a massive warehouse or massive greenhouses with acres of equipment that cost millions of dollars, we use PVC pipes and buckets and things you can get a lot from a hardware store. And what that allows you to do is make it really easy for people to learn how to build and then operate. So we always say that traditional agriculture and soil agriculture is an art form. Right? Everyone's like, I killed everything. I watered it too much. I didn't water it enough, whatever. Hydroponics is really a science. And so we can take people who have no experience with agriculture and make them into farmers in a really quick period of time. In Haiti, our program, we had the simplest form of hydroponics is this, what we call our bucket, which is just bucket in Haitian Creole. It's think about a 5-gallon Home Depot bucket. So you fill it with water, add a little bit of fertilizer, and in that bucket is all the water and nutrients 4 heads of lettuce would ever need to grow. So it doesn't need any electricity, doesn't need any extra watering. You set it up, leave it, and you harvest lettuce 4 weeks later. So in Haiti, where we gave 300 families these buckets, out of the 200 that we surveyed, 94% of them successfully harvested vegetables the first time that they had used it.
Wow. Does the source water matter? Like, I mean, when you read or like see how polluted or
so it does. I mean, in Haiti, the problem is that people are already drinking that water, right? So they're using water that they'd normally be drinking. So in terms of it's going in their bodies anyway, right? Yeah. So ideally you'd be using, like in the United States, right? We're using municipal or well water, right? We wouldn't be using river water to grow our stuff, but in Haiti, that's what they use.
Yeah, and your initial project was in Haiti, but now you brought it back to your hometown, Hartford, which is the seventh biggest food desert in the United States?
Yeah, so the north end of Hartford in particular, the North Hartford Promise Zone, is the 7th worst food desert, which is basically just affordable food access, right? To both being present and affordable. And so a bulk of our operation now is in the north end. And so what we've been doing is we've now scaled it from a backyard size to looking at the vacant land that's all around the city of Hartford. If you drive anywhere in the city of Hartford, pretty much, there's vacant plots. Almost any urban center in the country, you'll be driving by vacant lots. And so we can take those vacant lots or parking lots or rooftops and we convert them into hydroponic farms. And so our newest project was on 441 Homestead Avenue in Hartford. It's about an acre and a half of land, and we built 150 20-foot hydroponic systems on it. We're setting up retail operations, and we got it in January. And so we can very quickly and effectively convert property into hydroponic growing space and then create local employment, right? So it's not high tech. You don't need a college degree to be a hydroponic farmer with Levo. We employ 40 people. 12 of those are North End residents. And we just brought in, 25 high schoolers from the North End of Hartford this week to work over the summer on the farming operation.
That's great.
What's the scale thinking? Is it kind of continue to work with excess or abandoned properties and, work with municipalities, or is it at home, sort of kits and, I guess it could just be how-tos and training, right? Or, what's the vision for it? Yeah.
So I think what we're really looking at is an economic model that targets poverty. And so we do a fair amount of education and economic development really is our business. And then the hydroponics is the vehicle in which we're tackling those. And so we're thinking really strategically on what are the systemic issues and how do we utilize this technology to fix those systemic issues? So that could be food production and food access. So we're growing vegetables, but it's also importantly things like employment. So we're looking at larger scale production because it allows us to have an outsized impact. We'll still do backyard. Our stuff is still applicable to backyard kind of growing, but our main focus is on setting up retail and setting up farm production. Doing employment, doing education, right? A lot of what we do is education. So we'll bring high schoolers or group homes or special needs out to people to our farms to learn and grow and develop both the vegetables, but also even things like construction. I mean, the amount of people I've taught how to use a drill is literally thousands. And that has a huge impact on people's ability to execute and do things.
Many things. How complex is the training process in the education? If someone wants to just come volunteer, how much time will they need to know hydroponics and how to grow?
Yeah, it really depends on what they're volunteering for, right? So, people love the building. And so a big chunk of our volunteers come and they play with the drills and the power tools and things like that, and they build the hydroponics. And so within a couple of weeks, you could, if you were working with us, you could build a hydroponic system pretty much from scratch. Now, operating that, right, there's varying levels. So to be able to know the basics, I could teach you how to do the basics of a hydroponic system within a half an hour. Yeah. There's some nuance when you get into a farming space, things like pest control and other things that are hard to teach in a classroom until they come and deal with it. But within a couple of weeks, you can give everybody the basics of building and operating a hydroponic system. And then there's the nuance and the layers that build over time. But you could be a hydroponic technician within a couple of weeks.
Has there been any evolution from when you started your first farm in Haiti to now? Has there been any breakthroughs in that technology?
In hydroponics in general?
Yeah.
So for us, yeah. I mean, I think that we're a nonprofit, but we're really focused on R&D and building sustainable business models. And so for us, it's really, right, we're looking at our ROI. We're looking at how do we make this economically effective, right? So the focus has been on things like how do we speed up the construction, how do we improve the basics. And so we've made little tweaks over time. Like, for example, there's no glue in our systems at all, right? So we make them out of PVC, but there's no PVC glue, which is what we started with. Yeah. And there's two reasons for that. One, that stuff is kind of nasty, but two, because we can build and set up a system in the same day now without using any glue because nothing has to set.
Right. Yeah.
So there's some basic things that like aren't necessarily major innovations that we've done. But one of the really cool things that we now have done with our research is our team has developed organic hydroponic fertilizer. And we make it out of basically compost, right? Waste products from the agricultural industry. And that's not a thing right now. Really, there is no organic hydroponic fertilizer on the market. And so we've actually developed what theoretically could be a commercially viable fertilizer, but also importantly, a fertilizer that we can manufacture anywhere locally. It doesn't require a major manufacturing setup. So we are making major breakthroughs in the space. And I would definitely argue that our team is the foremost experts on this particular type of hydroponics, which is simplified hydroponics.
It's really cool. That's really cool.
So then, is there a commercially a commercial play here, you think, or is your vision nonprofit?
So I would challenge that nonprofit is a tax status, not a business model.
That's true.
And so there are for-profit applications here, though, that we are looking at. So the fertilizer very well may be a spin-off for-profit enterprise.
Yeah, nonprofits just don't have the same exit.
You can't raise right. True, that's true. And we are looking at, as we develop technology, right, there's opportunities for us to create profit-generating centers for the nonprofit. But the commercial applications of the hydroponic, the scalability of the hydroponics is there. It requires a pretty unique business model. And as we always tell people is that as far as I can tell, and I don't live in every state in the United States, what we're doing in the city of Hartford is totally unique and has massive implications around the country at a decent scale. I mean, our plan over the next 3 years is to scale up our operation to do about 1 million pounds annually of vegetables in the city of Hartford.
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, the impact is really just is extreme. I think, pushing you to think of the other side just, for the sake of conversation, but it doesn't have to be, not everyone has to have the give me my valuation and what's my exit number.
I guess I'm not particularly interested in exiting. I think that there's infinite opportunity here, and to do it within I found what I'm passionate about, right? So I'm not particularly worried about that on a personal level. I think on an organizational level, it's important only because we want to be able to create more leverage for the work that we're doing and create
more jobs
and more impact. And we're looking to solve systemic issues, and so we want to scale it.
Are you still pretty much kind of like sourcing parts from, you have your sort of like Home Depot checklist, or are you at a point where you started to kind of make your own, your own supplies?
Yeah, so we're right around there. I mean, it's part of it is like we're moving into more scaled up purchasing, right? So we're going less through Home Depot, more through the wholesalers and things like that. But no, in terms of material purchasing, I mean, a big part of what we do is we source locally. I mean, I think the biggest thing that we'll start to look at over the next couple of years is the piping that we use. And we have some designs that we've developed on improving that in transport costs. So building more stackable equipment that's more shippable is something that we'll be looking into over the next couple of years.
And, you joined, the pitch pod for our shaping event. What would this mean to you if you won?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're like the visibility is huge for us. I mean, we now have, it's been 9 years since the Eagle Scout project, and we have something to show at scale. I mean, it always, in entrepreneurship, you feel like you've done enough, but you haven't really, right? And then it takes more before people really buy in. And I think what's exciting for us now is that we have something that's worth buying into. We have demonstrated product and impact and programming that we can effectively offer. We have some major clients that add a whole lot of credibility. And so now it's about boosting this and really starting to scale the impact of what we're doing in the model.
Yeah, it's, once people join the cause or, the company, now it's no longer just you that you're, sort of shouldering now, right? So you got to keep growing. So
yeah.
Every person you add, now it's more responsibility.
You're telling me. Yeah.
Do you have any plans for geographical expansion? Do you think there's I don't know. I know we said it was the seventh worst food desert in the country, but there are other places in the Northeast in the country that you're I want to go there. I want to start this business here.
Yeah. And I mean, I think this is, as I'm talking about, as the visibility, right? So we now have demonstrated programs that we can scale. And so, I mean, the city of Bridgeport has a lot that a couple of community organizations have been involved in that they're planning on converting into hydroponic farm. We'll be working on that project and helping them build that out. So as early as fall of this year, we'll be in Bridgeport establishing a similar program to what we're doing in Hartford. We're getting calls from all over the place increasingly. Very possible that this fall we'll be starting to plan out a project in South Carolina or North Carolina, actually. Sorry, not
That's great.
South Carolina. So this model, what's cool is what we're doing is replicable everywhere. And so the North Hartford project is exciting because it creates a model that we can replicate. So if we have a municipality that's super gung-ho about making this work in their city, we can move really fast.
Yeah. Is it typically permanent space, or are they trying to sort of utilize dilapidated space or open space until there's development?
Yeah, and what's great about what we do is that we don't impede development. And that's what we've really been pitching, is that you've got this, the lot on Homestead Avenue in Hartford that we've developed sat vacant for 25 years, right? And sure, someone probably would have developed it at some point. But we could have grown vegetables on it for 25 years, right? And so building a bunch of raised beds and doing soil remediation is super expensive and time consuming. We throw a bunch of hydroponic systems on it. You work for the next 5 years on getting remediation money or development money, but for 5 years, that's employment and job and food production in a food desert, right? And so that's really our big pitch to municipalities is we're not at all a danger to your development strategy. In fact, we'll generate momentum for the properties that you want to develop.
Yeah, well, you're, essentially, kind of regentrifying while they're trying to actually regentrify, right? It's like you're making these condemned and abandoned lots visually pleasing, look active, bringing, kind of dispersing any crime or vagrancy that is going on, and making a positive use case out of it. So, the neighborhood is increasing in value. That area is getting a huge benefit from what you're doing.
And that's crazy. That's the first time I've heard about that from Hartford, about the food inequality and stuff like that. How come that isn't on the news or being portrayed at a larger level?
I think there's a couple reasons. Is one, it's been there, right? I mean, I think that what I talk about all the times is that the North Hartford has been food desert for longer than I've been alive.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not news. That's why it's not in
Right.
the news.
It's always been that way, or not always, but it's been that way for a long time, right? And so everyone just knows, right? Or they don't know, but they know North Hartford's poor, and so like it's not. No one's really. People are shocked that it's the 7th worst, but they're not shocked that it's a food desert, right? They know there's no grocery store in the north end of Hartford, and so for us, it's what we're trying to do is make it news because we can eliminate it, right? We can get rid of it, and I think that what happens is people hear that, and then there's no actual path for it to be fixed, right? It's not about just donating a little bit more food and you eliminate the food desert, right? There's a systemic problem there that needs to be solved,
Right.
And so, how many times you need to hear the same disheartening fact, but no pathway to fix it? And so, and if you live in Hartford, it's a conversation point, right? People are constantly frustrated by the fact that there is no affordable, healthy food options in their city. And so it's like, it's incredible because we've moved so fast on this that people are driving by and they're like, what the heck are you guys doing? And we're like, oh, we're a farm stand, permanent farm stand. This will be an access point. We're growing food and employing people. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is this is insane. Why have I not heard about this? And so it's been a lot of fun because we really, we got a whole lot of buy-in from a whole lot of people.
Yeah. And then are you taking food stamps or like alternate payment?
Yeah, SNAP and EBT and things like that. Yeah. And then we actually have a program in place. So the idea is on this site is a really high traffic location. So Homestead Avenue is where a lot of suburbanites will drive through to go downtown for work. And so we can capture suburban traffic to underwrite to the north end of Hartford. So we're not just in the middle of the north end neighborhood, we're right on the edge of the north end. So we can service both communities, sell premium products to both communities. So we've developed a membership model. So if you are a SNAP recipient, you automatically get a free membership. And this is like a Costco membership, right? So it's a couple, it's $15 a month kind of thing. And it gives you access to local goods, not just our stuff, but also other local goods, local tomato sauces and products and things like that.
Cool.
My mind went to like the Fight Club, like where he's selling like women's fat back to them, like the soap. It's like I was just for whatever reason I went, like all the rooftop gardens now, and everyone's trying to go some form of low carbon footprint, or so it's like. Is there, some of on a bigger scale, like, partnering with some of these, these builders or these design firms that are trying to do living gardens or living walls and that kind of thing, and work that technology in, and then, use it to fund the other projects as well.
And that's 1,000%. I mean, the majority of our revenue comes from contract services. We do education contracts and service contracts. So the Hartford Hospital is a partner, but also a client of ours, right? So they paid us to take 2 of their rooftops and turn them into hydroponic farms for their Food for Health clinic.
Okay. Yeah.
And so we work now with 4 different hospitals in the state, all in the Hartford Healthcare Network, Wyndham and Charlotte Hungerford and Bacchus Hospital in Norwich. So we definitely do that. And that's a big part of the state sustainability of our business model. Right? We make all of our money in contract services and education, and then we spend it all on farming.
Yeah.
And that's just how it goes.
So the scale, do you think it really comes down to ultimately broadening the contract relationships and,
I think geographically the easiest place to scale is in the contract services, and that's where we'll scale fastest. Geographically, I think because farming takes longer to establish, the retail takes longer to establish, that will just naturally be a slower business model to scale. It just takes establishing a customer base and building relationships, and that's just different than if a hospital in Arizona calls us and says we want to turn our rooftop into a hydroponic farm, right? It's a lot easier for that to happen.
Yeah. Well, and like as you start to expand, Hartford well because you're from there. Yeah. So, those nuances of understanding optimal places to service all communities, and, in theory, there are people in every community that could do that sort of same evaluation, but
Yeah.
you're then reliant on them to get on board,
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. And there's a partnership model there that needs to happen as we scale. I mean, like our Bridgeport program is in partnership with a community organization who we will be working with to ask those and answer those questions as we go.
Where did the name Levo International come from?
So it's Latin for to uplift.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Nice.
So Uplift International was taken.
It sounds good. I like it.
It worked out well. I like it a lot better than Uplift International.
what would be the sort of the dream project or relationship?
So I think that's a great question. Internationally, I would love to get into the refugee space. I think that we can provide a tremendous amount of leverage internationally with this technology in areas where there's no arable land, but there's a whole lot of people. Locally, I think it would be really cool to start to really work with some of these parking garages that sit empty. There's one, there's just so many of them in urban centers like Hartford, where there's just a giant parking garage rooftop.
Yeah.
And that's one that we're really passionate about trying to build a business model around, help drive the parking garage attendance, and then do a whole lot of food production.
Who do you have to talk to if you see a vacant lot in Hartford or Bridgeport? Do you have to go through the city? What's that process like?
It's not fun, I'll tell you. One of the things that you deal with in any kind of entrepreneurial endeavor, but particularly if you're trying to do systemic work, is the inertia that exists in the system, right? So the reason that some of these things haven't been fixed is because it's so freaking hard to fix the problem. And so, you just have to go through a whole lot of zoning hoops. It's not necessarily any individual in city government that's holding you up. It's just the fact that you have to jump through all these hoops. So,
Sure.
we've been working on getting property in the city for, over 3 years now. And we just are about to sign the lease on a large plot that the city's giving us. We've gone almost entirely private. So if we wanted to move fast, and so we've gone through some private landowners in order to establish this. But then you still need in the city of Hartford, for example, you still need a special permit for agriculture. So you still have to get a permit to do the agriculture, which is just how that works.
Yeah.
And so it's the regulation, the zoning is fun to work with, but we've learned a lot of lessons on how best to approach it and be able to jump those hurdles. And there's a little bit less of a rush, right? So we can be a little bit more patient, like with the city of Bridgeport, and just wait and play that waiting game a little bit more versus we're still hungry. We still want to move the project forward, but we needed to prove something. And so we've been able to do that in Hartford and learn a lot of lessons.
Can it get to a scale where, you're then not only are you selling direct to the communities, but, if there's excess, you're selling it to the grocers?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what we're working on getting to right now is restaurants, grocery stores, things like that. I mean, thinking about turning Hartford actually to more of an exporter than just a grower for the local community there. Yes, the answer is I believe 1,000%. I mean, based off what we're seeing in production and capability, we would probably start more with restaurants than we would. I think it's just a smaller demand, so it's easier to nail it versus a grocery store. Easier to get into too.
Yeah.
What's the typical time to yield, right? So it's
it really depends on what you're talking about.
It's all sort of
it's
produce dependent.
So it's like a head of lettuce is going to take 5 weeks.
Yeah.
From like 6 weeks from seed to harvest is 6 week cycles. And then tomatoes is it's like 60 days. So it really just depends on what you're growing.
Yeah, my mind went to there's the abandoned I think it's abandoned at this point, like Meriden Mall, right? Or like you have
Not yet.
well,
It's-
basically, right? Isn't it? But like
there's a couple, yeah.
but you know, like, or so if it is like privately owned, like, is there an opportunity for, you know, food production, but also owner to offset whatever carrying costs they may have while they're filing for new permits or they're trying to sell it or whatever it is? Like, is there a play there where it becomes more of a logistics nightmare, I'm sure, you know?
Yeah, it really depends on the timelines, right? You don't want to set something up and then break it down 1 year later, right? You want a couple of years of usage, ideally, in order to make the investment. The investment is less significant than other developments, but it's still not an insignificant setup and breakdown kind of costs.
And seasonality too.
And there's
You're not going to
seasonality.
put it up in late December.
Right. If you're going to set it up in late December, then you're going to wait until and then run it and run it in the spring. So you got to get at least one growing season out of it.
Yeah.
So there's, you know, I think the answer is yes. I think there's a play there. Just exactly what it is like maybe not the mall, but but maybe, right? Because how long is it going to take for the mall to actually be sold or reused or whatever?
Yeah,
right?
who knows?
So
It could have
4
years.
years. Right. You have 40 years of production out of that space, and that's really what we're pushing. So it's like let's move it forward. It's non-permanent stuff. We can get it set up and break it down and move it if we need to. But like, is a perfect example is like the Hartford Hospital had a property that we're starting to work on this year. It's a small one, but they're like, you know, we're going to sell this, but they're not going to sell it. It looks like, right? And so instead of we could have built it a year earlier, right? And that's just how businesses work, right? They're like, I think we're going to do this. Are you though? Right? Like, are you? And on the timeline that you're saying, and so that's where we can come in and create some cool stuff.
Yeah. One of my, final thoughts here is, do you have anything patented or any technologies or way you farm? Is any of that patented or trademarked in any way? Or are you looking into that space?
No, I mean, you could look at our systems and reverse engineer them if you have any sort of engineering skills, and that's kind of the point, right? Is that they're accessible and easy to build. So no, we've done some. We've applied patents in the past on some of our different designs. We haven't gotten the patent. It's a tough. I mean, we're in simplified hydroponics, right? It's
simple.
It's simple, right? It's hard to get a patent on things like that in this current day and age. There's some amount of intellectual property that we may pursue on things like our fertilizer research. That may just be an in-house recipe. It depends. We're not really super worked up about it, though the commercial side it creates opportunities. I think that we are continuing to innovate. So there's some baseline stuff that we will probably make open source, like as we go, right? We're publishing research on our fertilizer research. But as we develop a commercial fertilizer, there may be some aspects that we keep as IP in some way, shape, or form.
Cool. Interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't sound, you're not on the track to have your Levo, hydroponic starter kit that's on Etsy and Amazon and, available at retail, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's not our focus as in terms of a business model in the short term. I mean, we sell hydroponic equipment, but mostly on a local scale. Like you go pick it up from us or we'll drop it off locally. But we're not selling on Amazon.
Sure. I think we just gave them a good idea though.
I mean,
well, that was our original idea, right? That's where we started, was actually trying to figure out a way to do backyard kit style hydroponics.
Yeah.
It's just a lot more competitive actually than the space that we're in.
I bet. Yeah, I bet.
It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to do what we do than it is to try to compete on a retail scale.
Right.
With the giants.
Oh yeah, I would imagine so. Well, but it kind of, I was getting like Patagonia vibes, right? Where it's like there are very few businesses that are kind of commercially huge and still make good on the promises that they were founded from. Patagonia always gets the nod, but like, you're developing a brand purposefully and a business model that has true altruistic purposes. So it's like, why I'd buy from Levo? Well, because it's backed by like real expertise and real passion and value, right? Versus whatever kit,
absolutely. Absolutely. And there's lots of that. People are like, I could build this at home, or I could just buy it from you, spend $5 more than it would cost me maybe to build it at home, which generally people are like, oh, I could build this. I'm like, yeah, you could, but it's still going to cost you the same. So just buy it from us and help us out.
Or more, because you're gonna,
doesn't matter how good you are.
Some cut,
you're going to drill 3 things. And
having that boots on the ground approach, probably you're impacting way more people than you would probably sell something.
Yeah, and actually our focus in 2025, as we wrap out for the year, is really starting to do some really good impact assessments, because there's some really cool stuff that we're doing that just on the, things like teaching. I mean, we probably taught 1,000 people how to use a drill in 2025 so far, right? That is an impact statistic. It's not our main impact statistic. It's not the main thing that we're focusing on, but there's like all of these really cool ripple effects that we can start to look at and showcase as real things that Levo comes and brings to your community in a way that's not just vegetables. It's not, we're not just growing vegetables and donating them. We're doing all of these things for your community. Yeah. And it's worth bringing us into it.
Yeah.
Who are you working with on the fertilizer piece?
So we have we have collaborators. My brother actually has been working with me since the beginning of Levo. Is a PhD in plant pathology.
Okay, that helps.
Yeah. Well, it was part of the he started it with me 9 years ago. So he had wrapped up his undergrad in biology and then went into plant science. But so he does a lot of our R&D research and collaborates with the universities and things like that. We do research with UConn, collaboration with UConn and Ohio State and Cornell. We have some published research and things like that. So we have a pretty robust team on the science side.
Well, because I was thinking of quantum. Brian Paganini is a friend of the group, so to speak.
Friend of the program.
Yeah, friend of the program.
Cool. Yeah. But
I mean, what he's dealing with organic waste is incredible for CT. So
yeah, absolutely.
So I guess, kind of like the wrap up, right? It's anyone listening, watching, and that, or, learns about Levo is likely to be like, amazing. How can I help? Yeah. I want to support whatever, right? This is a great mission. If you're sort of talking to someone that's, investor minded, right? It's what is the action plan for, a couple dollars that you get from, a win, or like, what's that next thing that you're really trying to activate for?
Yeah, I mean, I think our North Hartford Farming Initiative is really the focus that I've been talking a lot about. I mean, there's some really cool other stuff that we've got going on. I'll be down in Puerto Rico in a week, setting up a new ag center there. So there's some really cool projects. But the North Hartford Farming Initiative is where, like, if you are somebody who really wants to make an impact with your dollars, Levo is a really sexy way to do it, right? You really quickly can transform a space that has sat blighted and ugly, right? So if you really care about making you want your legacy, you want to make an impact, right? Levo is a really cool place to do it, because we will be able to do all of these different things with the resources that you bring in. I encourage people to be a part of this journey and part of the story, and we make it really easy for you to be part of that story and journey. We're gonna end the food desert in the north end of Hartford, right? Yeah. At least in the next couple of years, we'll knock it out of the top 10, right? You won't be able to say it's the 7th worst in the next couple of years, but.
Well, Christian, appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's amazing.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.